He was like, I can't even look at you. You're such a fat, disgusting pig.
Oh.
You're listening to Squeeze Limes, where truth stings, laughs heal, and nothing's off limits. I'm Tyler, the daughter.
I'm Robin, the mom. And if life gives you lemons,
We're squeezing limes instead.
so grab a seat, open your mind, and get ready to laugh or cry because we're not here to play nice.
We're here to get real.
Hi, welcome to Squeeze Limes. This is my daughter, Tyler, and
Hi.
I'm Robin.
Welcome.
No.
We're so excited to have you all back, or if this is your first time, thanks for joining us.
And today we are honored to have a wonderful woman. Her name is Lindsey Sikora. She is a board-certified family nurse practitioner and the founder of Shot Bar Medspa in Chicago. She has been in medicine for over a decade. She has lost more than 130 pounds herself and now helps patients connect the dots between weight, hormones, confidence, and real life habits that actually make a difference. Lindsey, welcome to Squeeze Limes.
Thank you so much for having me here. This is so exciting.
Yes,
It speaks a lot to my story because a lot of my story has to do with the mother-daughter dynamic. So this kind of hits home and is really, really special.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that a little bit before we questioned?
It made me think about like the fact that you two are doing this together. What a cool, healthy relationship that the two of you have. And how many years it took me to get there with my own mom, for sure.
Yeah. And you're
Yeah.
there today with her, right?
Yeah, adulthood made me get there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden realizing she's human and
Yeah. Right.
use whatever tool in her tool belt that she had.
Right.
But I spent probably the first 35 years of my life just blaming her for everything.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Mother-daughter dynamics
Mom's
also.
can handle it, I think. Or should anyway.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that, you have that awareness and are able to have a relationship now that is positive moving forward.
It changed when I forgave her.
Right.
Like she never changed. It was me who
Of
changed.
course. Correct.
But like physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, the whole thing. I think she's finally to a point where like she kind of has the daughter she always wanted. I was always like a little bit of a chubbier kid. I think that even like unknowingly, like the world in general treats me differently as a thin person. People hold doors when they used to not, or people offering to like pump my gas at the gas tank, at the gas station. Like those things genuinely happened where people make eye contact with me now when they didn't before. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the energy I'm also giving off, which was
Yes.
previously maybe don't look at me in comparison to now where it's like anyone can and I'm not afraid of what they're looking at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that I for sure played a role in the way that people respond, but being that I used to be on one end of the spectrum, which is almost nearly 280 pounds to, today maintaining 130 for the last almost decade or so.
My God. That's amazing,
No
actually.
question
because
my energy's
I know
changed.
you. I mean, I can't really
Yeah.
imagine how much it's like another person and then some.
It,
And the energy
yeah,
you exude is, I can't, if you're saying you really weren't showing that before,
I
yeah,
wasn't.
you were hiding
I was
in some
I
way.
was very quiet. I was introverted. I just didn't want anyone to see me.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't have like a long mirror in my apartment forever. So
I
like I
know
wasn't
you.
looking either.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So
I
like at
wasn't
what
looking at it.
point do you feel like you needed a change?
Probably starting when I was 10. It was right around my 30th birthday, 30, 30, 32. Um, I had gained a lot of weight when I went back to get my master's degree. And all of a sudden, like, I bought a scale because I couldn't roll over in bed. It was just one of these, like, I had to have my lower body and my upper body in two separate positions, I guess, to like roll over, and it became like difficult to do so. And I started noticing like my ankles and my knees were hurting, and I was like, okay, like what did I do? It took a lot of bravery. I ordered a scale on Amazon and hopped on. I was like, whatever it is, it is.
Oh, well.
Um, whatever needs to change is going to change. I knew something really went wrong. I was living my life in scrubs every day, working as a nurse, studying for my master's. Everything was in sweats. I didn't have a thriving social life at the time because I didn't want anyone to come near me. Um,
Yeah.
so it was like, whatever it is, it is. And it was 272. Um,
Wow.
yeah. That was the largest I ever looked at myself on a scale. And that was the last time I ever saw that number. That's for sure. Um,
Yeah. So what were
yeah.
you feeling in that moment when you stepped on the scale and had that realization?
I had lost like 50 pounds and regained it and lost it and regained it so many times where I was like,
A lot of
something needs to
yo-yoing.
change. There needs to be something I do differently this time. Um, and so I sought out a bariatric surgeon back in 2017 who I said I didn't want a sleeve. I didn't want to do like a whole like removal of my stomach. I knew there was a lot of side
Mm,
effects. I wanted something that could be reversed if I didn't like it. Um, so I opted to do a lap band, and I got that put in 2017. And about maybe 4 to 6 months later, I was having so many side effects from it. Every time I opened my mouth, a belch came out. And
I
like I
know.
couldn't eat anything that wasn't like ground up, mushy baby food consistency.
Yeah.
Um, so all my life survived on like basically just eating chili, which in some ways it still does, but that is one of my safe foods. But it didn't like prevent me from binging. I could have sat in front of the TV and ate gallons of ice cream or
Oh, mushy food.
those were yeah, mushy food. I could have eaten cake and cookies and things that were soft. I definitely have a sweet tooth.
Mm,
Um, but what it did do is sort of maybe change behaviors and made me more conscious of them. Um, and with that, I started collecting just data. I started wanting to look at myself as a science experiment. So I tracked everything I ate. And I still use that app today when I default to it, and I have my patients use it that are willing to do so. I think that knowledge is power, but information like that can weaponize you for success in the future. And I,
right.
I I say that a lot. And so I had the band emptied because it was just like I couldn't live with every time I went to open my mouth, it was disgusting. Like some sort
Yeah.
of like something would come out, so it just wasn't working
Mm,
for me. Um, but it certainly helped separate like before the band and after the band, if that makes sense. So it was like, oh,
mhm.
my line in the sand.
Yeah.
So
Then you
I
start
became
taking
very
then you start
serious
putting
about it. I primarily ate nothing but protein, and would take my body in and out of ketosis, and learned how that was working for me. Like you burn through your carb fuels, your carbs for fuel. Now you're burning fat for fuel. And when I want to shred and lose a few pounds, I still do that to this day because I know that's what works for me because
Yeah.
I collected data. I would, give myself days off sometimes too, because you need to do that. And if there was something I felt like I needed, whether it was a gallon of ice cream or a few pieces of pizza, I had it.
good.
Because I also sometimes feel like you also need to like
Live.
reward yourself for a job well done
Right.
or, arm
Mhm.
yourself for the week ahead a little bit. Not that I would binge like on my cheat days, but I did have some intermittently because I felt like how do you like do the same thing 365 24/7
Mhm.
day in and day out? Like you can't. And like we're still
Right.
human and we have to live.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
It's more
yeah,
about balance than it is anything else.
totally. And I was a ritual binge eater. I used to have like these like black weekenders there. I would stop at the hospitals on my way home on Fridays. And I would fill them up and spend hundreds of dollars on food. And it was like from Funyuns to gummy bears to whatever. And I would park my car in the garage and take it up my high rise and no one could see inside because they were opaque. And by the time I got up to my apartment, there would be like Instacart or DoorDash or Grubhub or something waiting for me at the door. And like I
Mm,
wouldn't surface till or Monday morning. I would just eat myself into oblivion the entire
Mhm.
weekend.
Yeah.
So
wow.
that was what had to change the most,
Yeah.
was changing the compulsion to do that because that was a ritual, um, and that's what needed to change the most. So all of a sudden, like not being able to binge like that anymore, it became an emotional divorce, so to speak, with food.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And I can only imagine that there's, like you said, it's habitual, but there's also like these mental uh, challenges that you're facing when you're binging and you have these episodes and you would do this every single weekend. Like, what was happening for you mentally?
I was really lonely. I had gone through a really kind of a terrible breakup with some girlfriends, with my partner that I was off and on with for a very long time. And like
Mm.
all of a sudden I just ballooned and I was always like thicker and heavier, but I was never like this very obese woman. I struggled with my weight my entire life. That started at age 10. My mom put me on Weight Watchers.
Mm.
And yeah,
Wow.
taught me a lot about, you know, fearing food versus rewarding myself with food. And it was like, she taught me that food was more of a reward than anything else,
Okay.
and, it became something also to also fear. I
Mm.
remember asking her, I was coming home from, like, a swim class or something when I was in 5th grade or a meeting, a Weight Watchers meeting, and I said, like, "When can I stop?" And she said, "When you have 2 separate legs."
Oh,
Wow.
okay. So
Yeah, and I still
yeah, I'm
look at
sorry.
that as a metric now. Like, I actually true story, I was trying on a bathing suit yesterday, and I was standing in front of a full-length mirror that I am now okay looking in, and I was like, "Oh, I have a pretty significant thigh gap there," and it made me really think about, like, what did she do?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right, because that's a
yeah.
lot of like mental mountains to
Manipulation. Yeah,
climb.
Yeah, my brother had, like, a junk food drawer at home that was, like, we used to call it, like, Matt's drawer, and, like, I wasn't allowed in it.
Mm.
So,
yeah,
like, she made food a very restrictive thing for me. My 15th birthday, I wasn't allowed a cake. She gave me a bunch of clementines, cute on a plate, but with candles coming out of, like, the center of them. And
Okay,
there's
wow.
pictures of me with, like, friends, and that was, like, my birthday cake. She thought she was doing the right thing by trying to
Sure.
teach me healthy habits. Um, she was heavier as a kid, and, struggled with her own eating behaviors and still in some ways does. Um,
So a
but
lot of
I
projection
yeah,
from
living
her.
vicariously.
yeah, she was afraid that I was gonna, like, struggle with the same stuff she did and used to say, like, "Boys won't like you, but they'll be friends with you."
Yeah,
Oy.
a lot of
Yeah.
messages that are not
Lot of messages. There was many instances. We had a really pretty furnished basement in our home where with a treadmill, and I remember she used to stand against, like, the brick wall with her arms crossed and, like, one leg up against it, and, like, it wouldn't let me off until she said I was done.
yeah,
She was trying to build habits. It
Right,
just
yeah,
right.
it just backfired pretty
right,
badly.
because then it became shame-based, and so
It
yeah,
it did.
and then you
It
turned it
did.
around.
I did, but it didn't take till my 30s really, where I think I, in a lot of ways, needed to maybe forgive her first before letting some of it go.
Yeah,
Mm.
because you're holding it.
But it really didn't happen until the last few years.
Sure,
Yeah,
I'm
if I'm
sure.
if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah,
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 lots of
Yeah.
lots of therapy, um, lots of reading, personal development, some spiritual journeys for sure.
oh, for sure,
Yeah,
for
so it
Yeah,
was
sure.
like a whole well-rounded experience for you to kind of put the past in the past and let yourself move forward in that way.
yeah. My dad was generally kind of a heavier guy. Also carried most of it in his belly, which I'm sure
Mm.
was just stress and drinking. But
Yeah.
he never really shamed me one time in life, and it was one of the worst moments of my life. We were at a restaurant,
Mhm.
and I drove home from Chicago to go visit him in Detroit. And we were at a restaurant, and he wouldn't make eye contact with me. And my parents had already split up at this point, and we were with my sister-in-law and my new niece. She was maybe a year old. And he just would not make eye contact with me. And I kept saying, like, what is wrong? And this is just a couple of months before I hopped on that scale and saw 270.
Mm.
And he slammed his hand down on the table and he was like, I can't even look at you. You're such a fat, disgusting pig.
Oh,
And the
shit.
whole restaurant got quiet. It was so loud, the whole restaurant got quiet.
Yeah,
And I got up and left and didn't talk to him for a minute after that.
I'm
It was the first
sure.
time he ever did that. Um, he had never really ever made me feel bad about it. That was more her department, but that was probably the worst than she ever did, if I'm being honest.
right, because he was your fan,
It was in public. Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
you adored
Um,
him and all of
I
that,
did.
so that
He was intoxicated, and not that that's an excuse, but that was a big part of my childhood growing up in
Mm.
that kind of home too.
yeah, you
Yeah.
really are a survivor, actually,
Yeah. Yeah,
truly.
I
Yeah.
think
What
so.
what
Yeah.
would you tell your 10-year-old Lindsay,
Mm.
when you
So
know
I love when I get a question like that, and truth is, I wouldn't wanna change anything anyway, if I'm being completely honest, because I think it set me up for the resiliency of adulthood
Mm.
and the challenges that I have now as an entrepreneur and a business owner and a PhD student and a wife and an aunt and a friend. I think it made me tough.
Mhm.
Um, with enough soft qualities to be able to survive. But I think that I learned some lessons I feel that I'm proud of and like have been able to work through. And I'm not perfect. You know, I still have moments and I'm still anxious and I still suffer from moods and things like that. It's not that I'm perfect, but owning a medical practice that has scaled the way that I have over the last couple of years is very challenging. And I just truly feel that I don't revert to food. I lost my dad a few years ago and I didn't revert
I'm
to food. If
sorry.
anything, I kept my weight off. It has really shown me that um, I have grown so much that every once in a while, like I'll get anxious about something and I'll want to eat something sweet, and I do, and I don't punish myself for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I really feel as though I would tell 10-year-old Lindsay, like, it will be okay eventually.
Right.
Mm,
Eventually.
But you
Right.
need to go through what you're about to go through. And I wouldn't
mm,
necessarily either change the way my parents behaved either, because although they're alternative, they're also amazing in their own ways too. My
Sure.
mom's like a wacky artist, and my dad was this heavy duty Harley riding,
Right.
uh, big burly man. He was an entrepreneur himself, and we were kind of supposed to do a little bit of this together. He was going to
mm.
help me with a lot of things. So when he passed away, it was really okay. Now I'm like really on my own because
Yeah.
who am I going to depend on? So it really has taught me to, get some inner strength that I didn't know I had in my toes.
Good.
And I
Yeah.
think that really speaks to your resilience and your forgiveness that you've clearly made to your parents. And I think, the way that you're speaking of like you wouldn't have changed anything, I think that shows such
Determination or courage,
determination.
actually,
Yeah.
and so much forgiveness that a lot of people can't get there. And it's so important to get there. It's not really for them. It's for
No,
you. It's for you.
totally.
And that's
Totally.
the beauty of what you are holding now and the space you are in is that you've chosen that for you because you don't have to hold that anymore.
I have a great relationship with my mom. There's nothing she loves more than coming to Chicago. She lives in the South Florida area, so she comes up here for her treatments, and we like
Right.
to call it the Julie,
Right.
where I have to like clear the day to be able to have everything, everything set up and ready for her microneedling and her lasers and all of her things. She's still incredibly vain, and I'll never take that away from her, nor do I want to change it.
No, no, no.
That's
Because yeah,
beautiful.
now I poke fun at it.
Good.
Yeah, now I poke fun at it, and
That's
I see
great.
a lot of what she did to me. I'm sure part of opening a med spa and living in the beauty world and looking and feeling beautiful. I have no doubt some of that has come from her teaching me that be pretty.
Mm.
Right. Inside too, first.
Eh, I think that when I take a objective step back, she used to say, go learn Botox, go learn Botox, go learn Botox," and I'd be like, "I'm not learning Botox for you," but eventually I did, and it turned into this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like with all of that messaging of like be pretty, you have to look a certain way and physically appear in the world in a certain way, and now that you're in the beauty world, what would your message be to those that come to you and our audience and what you want to put out into the world now?
That's the one thing sometimes I feel, that I maybe have missed out a little bit in my youth was, like, the freedom of feeling beautiful. Yeah, I didn't want people to look at me later in my 20s and early 30s. I was pretty thin in my early 20s and had a bunch of fun when I first moved here, but then I started gaining some weight, um, and hid, and I wish that I didn't spend so much time hiding. And so I think with my current patient population, where I counsel a lot of people with weight loss, with changing their relationships with food, um, I even offer some patients, depending on their candidacy, some GLPs. I'm really proud to be able to teach them because I lost my weight without it. About in 2022, I used Ozempic leading up to my wedding to lose about maybe like 10, 12 pounds. Not that I really needed to, quote unquote. A friend of mine got some samples and she's like, "You want to try it?" And I'm like, "Oh, hell yeah." And I did lose a few pounds before my wedding and that felt really good. And I've
So
actually
you
kept
used
it
it
off
for a small
since.
period of time, a short period of
It was
time?
a small period of time. I had a lot of side effects from it. I have
Mm,
dabbled with tirzepatide on and off because I've had the opportunity to um, here at Shop Bar, but not in the last maybe like year or so. Really thinking that like I really don't need it. I really have learned how to lose weight and keep it off without it. I also feel as though I try to also experience everything that my patients here use. That way I can speak to my own experience with it. So there's really nothing at
Yeah.
Shop R that I have not tried, except for maybe a few of the peptides that don't necessarily apply to me.
Yeah.
But I think speaking from your own experience makes you relatable. Um,
Absolutely. You have
yeah,
to
so
walk the
like
talk, right?
correct. And I people ask me all the time also, like, would I have used them back in 2017? And my answer is, oh my God, yes, without hesitation. I
Oh,
white
the
knuckled my
Ozempic, you mean?
entire way through that while I'm trying to figure out what worked for me, what didn't, why my scale went up, why my scale went down, fighting the food noise, um, which is always pretty loud still.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I learned to compartmentalize it, and I named her Barbara.
Right.
This is just
Good.
it just yeah, I figured like put a name to it, and like every time once in a while, like when I know I'm full or I've like met my macros for the day or whatever it is, and she starts creeping up, and I'll be like, "Shut up, Barbara."
Right. Exactly.
So if
I
I
love
give it a
that.
name, I know it's a thing.
It is.
So
Yeah.
I always so that was one of that's sometimes a piece of advice that I give to patients too, as like, how do you fight the food noise? And like, food noise is pretty much there for most of us all the time anyway. Like,
Absolutely.
it's when it gets really loud. Like, did you meet your macros for the day? If you were tracking, then you know you have, and it's just noise. Or are you actually really hungry? Or are you dehydrated? Did you eat
Mhm.
enough protein? Or
Mhm.
maybe sometimes just give into it. Just
Mhm.
depends like how loud it is. Like, let's talk it through and what's really happening.
Right. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
So people pause, wait 15, 20 minutes and see if it goes away.
Yeah. That's awesome. And
that's a great.
those are,
Right.
yeah, those are two great pieces of advice around food noise because, I know myself and so many people that I know struggle with that food noise and want to um, overcome it in some way, or maybe they don't even realize that that's something that you can separate and name, which is
Kind of
so cool
separate
that you
it, give
did
a
that.
name to it, but like, I hate to be like the bearer of bad news, but it never really goes away.
Right.
No, but
Especially
you
for
if you
somebody
make
like
friends
myself,
with
but
it.
not really. Yeah, make friends with it, make
Right.
it a joke, like, put
Right.
a tell shut the hell up, Barbara.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
or not right now, like, I'm busy or
Right.
whatever it is. Like, I just ate, shut up.
Right.
Every
Exactly.
once in
It's
a
you
while
can
that
make it
happens. And
funny.
other times I'm like, you know what, Barbara, you're right. Let's have Dairy Queen.
Right.
I agree
Barbara,
with
you're
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
What's the biggest lie that people believe or myth that people believe about hormones and weight loss? What is that?
Oh, people are like, oh, I gained weight because of my hormones, or I can't lose weight because of my hormones. Hormone regulation can happen from the food you eat in general. So I always tell people, like, let's eliminate processed foods, maybe get rid of some gluten, limit it, change your behaviors around maybe alcohol. Like, what are you doing to contribute to those hormonal imbalances? Do you have parabens in your cosmetics? Right? Are you sleeping well? Are
Mm.
you regulating? Are you meditating? Are you doing things to kind of calm your nervous system? Like, my favorite thing right now is this vagal nerve stimulator called Pulsetto. I cannot live without it. It
What
is
is
the
it?
most amazing thing you put it around your neck and it literally stimulates your vagal nerve and you calm down, and it comes with an app, and it is just the
Really?
best $240 I've ever spent.
Wow.
That's
There
pretty
is a
cool.
calm that comes over you from this, and I could scream, from the rafters about how incredible this thing is. It has really changed someone who's got severe anxiety. So I always tell people, like, calm your nervous system. Part of the reason you're maybe feeling hungry or you're retaining weight, and I'm not saying hormone imbalances aren't real as women in perimenopause go through that. Um, I do BHRT here at Shop R with pellets, and I love it. It's changed the game for me. Um,
Is that hormone replacement therapy?
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. It really does help a lot. And I use a bioidentical type of hormone, and we pellet women or men a couple times a year to kind of help with those balances. But oftentimes hormone imbalances comes from, is your thyroid dysregulated? Are we looking at what your diet is and your sleep and your stress? And a lot of it is just
Mm.
nervous system management. Not easy to do. Again, not perfect. There's days where I miss the routine that I try to stick to. But that has a huge component of being able to just relax and keep the weight off, is that I work on those things too.
Yeah.
That's
It's always a work in progress, right?
yeah.
Yeah, there's no such thing as perfect, or I finally attained this
Never.
amazing goal, or
No one does.
I've gotten
Right.
to where I want to be, because there's always, every time I feel like like once I get there, but the needle always moves. Whether
Right.
it's in business or my personal
As
life,
it
or,
should, though, right? So you
yeah,
don't become
the
complacent.
needle always moves. So it's always just like, when's the to-do list going to die down? It doesn't, it just gets bigger.
Right. So how do you keep your willpower? I think that's the biggest struggle for people that I have come across my whole professional career and personal, the willpower of it all it goes out the
Mm,
window.
yeah, willpower. I always hated that word because it made me feel like I had no strength, right? But
Mm,
like
mm.
I was
What's
able to
another
quit
word?
smoking after 15 years, right? When I was 30, I haven't had a cigarette in almost 12 years. I think this April will be 12 years.
Nice.
Um, Getting through nursing school, or I was like an always student, like very exemplary. I had a lot of discipline in a lot of areas. So in some ways, like I had willpower to get those things done. But in this area, quote unquote, I was weaker. And people are like, well,
Mm,
just change. If it's not working for you, change it. And people made it seem like it was so black and white like that, but it's
right.
not. You need food to live, right? So I always felt bad for people with like true eating disorders, binge disorders, anorexia. Like you
Mhm,
need food to survive. So that
mhm.
is going to be really tough. People can quit smoking or drinking, right? You don't need those things to survive, but food you do. So that is a really big challenge. We'll be like,
Yes.
oh, blah, 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 quit drinking. Like, why can't you stop binging? Like, you
Right.
need food to live, so, like, how do you change that relationship? Willpower is it's a mean word, and I think, I try not to really use it very often because I don't want anyone to feel like they're weak because
Mm,
in so
No,
many other areas, they're
yeah, it
probably
makes sense.
strong.
Mhm. So what do you
Um,
replace it with?
mm, I go back to data, right? So, like, I always
Facts.
default to that. Like, look at your body as a science experiment, start tracking things, look for little wins along the way. Like, I weigh myself all the time because it keeps me self-aware. Like, people
mhm,
say, like, "Oh, I wait till my jeans are too tight," but by then you've gained 8 pounds. It's usually around 8 pounds or so to a size. Now you have 8 pounds to lose. That can take a couple months for some people.
Mhm.
Um, I try to prevent the need to ever to go back to have to do things like that again.
mm,
So I stay accountable to the scale. I think that it can dictate your behavior, right? So if I see it's going in a direction I don't like, I know maybe drink more water, lift a little more weights, whatever it is, get more active, maybe cut out something that I know I've been doing wrong. When I see that happen, I can always say like, "Oh, that's because I did this that weekend," or
Right.
whatever it is.
So your
There's
scale's
a
the goal for
reason.
you.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's how you go back and forth. Like you want to maintain, and you are obviously for years. So if it goes up or down, you know exactly what you were doing. And so
I
that's, I
do.
think, the accountability scale, I suppose.
I mean, I became so comfortable with it, I went under the knife again last summer and had the lap band removed. Um, I had just been sitting in there, and, like, that was the other thing that was kinda driving me crazy. Now I have this
Oh,
thing in my stomach where I got so tiny that you could almost see the port, which is it would,
oh,
like,
wow.
stick out and, like, wear a white tank top, and you could see, like, the bulge of where the where the lap band was because my
oh,
waist was so small.
okay.
Um so I did have it taken out because I was just like, it's not serving a purpose. And like, what do I need it for? Like, it
Right.
was like not a safety net anymore. And it had been almost like 8 or 9 years since we've messed with it. Now it was just sitting in there. And so back in the
Mm,
day, insurance wouldn't cover electively taking it out
mm.
unless there was a complication, but now they do. So
Oh,
I
good.
was
Yeah.
just
There's no
immediately was
reason a
just like,
foreign object
get
should
this
stay
thing
in
out
there.
of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So now
yeah,
I can wear a white tank top
That's such a good
and not
feeling.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is good.
That is
But no,
amazing.
data-driven decisions, I think is
Right.
really important in the journey of weight loss in general. Track your food, learn what you makes you retain water, learn what makes you what the scale go up and down. I got a smart scale for at home. Where is my visceral fat? Where is my bone density? Those things are it's just really interesting when you look at yourself as as just information. Again, like knowledge is power, information is a weapon. That's how I've been able to maintain so long is because I armed myself during my journey with collecting that data to be able to set
Mhm.
myself up for success.
Nice.
And I do the
Yeah.
same thing for my patients now.
Yeah, that's really, really so different than the norm, right? That you see out there. So it's really interesting. And obviously, facts matter. And so I do know people who go to you. I know the people that love their their outlook,
Results.
and it's a great way that you're teaching and helping.
Thank you. Um, I'm the most passionate about this part of what I do because I know what it feels like to feel stuck. I know what it feels like to be hopeless, that I'm going to be stuck in this body the rest of my life. I'm a thin person in a fat girl's body or whatever it is. Though those were hard moments.
Yeah.
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 And I like that you spoke to, data and the facts and I think for a lot of people out there that have this food noise or that have challenges with weight and only wish and hope that they could be XYZ. I think that it's so important, and I feel like your story touches on this, is that you compare it to yourself and yourself only
Yeah.
and not compare it to others.
Right.
So I didn't have social media during my journey. I actually
Mm.
hadn't had social media since MySpace. So like that's how many years ago that was. And when I
Yeah.
opened Shop Bar, a friend of mine was like, "Nope, you need to be on the map. You need to have your own personal page. You need to have something where you're relatable. You need to have one for Shop Bar." And I was like, "Nope, not doing that." He's like, "Nope, but you have to." And so I did. So I think that probably helped me a lot because I wasn't comparing myself to other people. I wasn't gathering
Yeah.
misinformation from people who don't know what they're talking about because I see that
Mhm.
all the time too.
Yes.
Um, and it was just me, myself, and yes, I was using my phone, but in my phone was just my own information, not other people's.
Right.
So I have to say that it probably helped me a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, and I think it helps others because your credibility is, like Tyler said, you're not comparing you. This is your data. This is what works for you. So if you know how to do that, you can do that for someone else and teach them. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild to me, like when I do GLP consults or weight loss consults, or I have somebody coming in there is interested about peptides or hormones or whatever it is. And they're like, "Oh, well, so and so said this." And I look at who it is and I'm like, that is an influencer with zero medical education.
Right.
Not to say that like they might not have some sort of maybe that works for them, but that's not necessarily for the masses, and that's bad information.
Yes.
So I feel like I spent a lot of time like debunking social media
Mhm.
myths.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Those are things that didn't cloud me during my journey. So
Yeah.
um,
What are
sometimes I
like
tell
the
people like, "Can
biggest
you go away from it for a few minutes?"
Yeah, what do you see, like, coming up in the questions or be like, "Well, so and so said this," like, what is the most common that you
Oh,
get?
like how people are like microdosing weird doses every couple days or overdosing and taking too much or taking semaglutide and tirzepatide or sourcing it from online pharmacies that, don't have any COAs or certificates of analysis, or they're not getting it from a medical professional, they're getting it from somewhere in China, or their friend did it this way. And I'm just like, these are all such
Right.
bad things.
Right. Right.
Wow.
Right.
These are all
Scary,
such
right?
bad things. Yeah, so like that's a big thing right now in the world of peptides is, people can get like these research only where they put like for use under medical supervision. That doesn't make it a safe prescription. Those that are not necessarily pharmaceutical grade. And
Mhm.
so I'm
Right.
constantly trying to help people like what you are putting in your body. What is that?
Right. Because
Right,
I
you don't
see
even
that all the
know.
time. It's like
What is that?
you can go
So that's
on
like the
and you
biggest.
could put in your data or someone else's data, and all of a sudden it's being delivered to your
And it's
door.
delivered to your
It is
door.
so dangerous for you.
Same thing with like Botox injections. So people like
Oh,
these young girls are teaching each other on TikTok how to do that.
oh.
Wow.
Um,
Well,
what happens if you guys hit the wrong spot?
well, yeah.
That's so
Yeah. Like
scary.
what emerge like or filler. Like what if you get a vascular occlusion? Now your lips are gonna fall off,
But isn't
ladies.
there a law that just passed about fillers and Botox and all of that? That it has to be done by
So in the
a
state of
doctor,
Illinois, it has to be done by a medical professional. It needs
right?
to be at least a registered nurse or above. Here at Shopar, I don't have anybody who's working for me using an energy-based device, a laser, um, any sort of aggressive microneedling that is not a medical professional. I have an
Right.
RN who works for me.
Sure.
I do not allow anybody who is not a medical professional to use the devices here at Shopar. I
I
think you
mean, I
need to
see
have a
that all
medical
the time,
education to
like
be able to do that.
dentists
Yeah.
and or not dentists, but like their
Yeah, no,
assistants
dentist, yeah.
or
Yeah.
dermatologist assistants or whatever, but they're not
Yeah.
doctors, and they were taught how to do it, but
Or
that's
RNs, yeah,
well, RN is a medical professional.
registered nurse.
Right, right.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean,
I
it's like, the girl that's like at the reception, she can do it too. I'm like, wait, no.
I mean, in the state of Illinois, as far as I understand, and the way that I read the law, and my attorney has interpreted it to me, it was as of January of 2025, I had to let somebody go who was going to be, working lasers for me and transition her role a little bit into more of the beauty space because you have to be a medical professional to fire a laser energy or energy any energy-based device in the state of Illinois.
Mhm.
And there's still laser techs that are doing it all over the city. So that's either people
Oh, yeah.
don't know about that law because it's not like there was like a memo that was delivered to me. My attorney just
Mm.
happened to have found it.
Oh, wow.
And so yeah, so I had to pivot a little bit of how we do things here at Shop Bar,
Yeah. Wow.
just to stay within the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
for
Yeah.
estheticians
safety.
cannot then.
The only way is how I understand it is that, and not, no, they cannot. So an esthetician can, if properly trained and certified, do laser hair removal as
Mm,
long as their medical director is on site.
okay.
They can't
Hmm.
microneedle past like 0.3 millimeters or something like that per the statutes, but they're doing it anyway.
Wow. Yeah.
Um,
There. So,
Wow.
yeah.
yes.
So, I
So
mean, these are
wild.
just things either people aren't aware of, or if they are turning a blind eye because it's poorly regulated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Scary, I think.
it is.
Really. People
It
really
is.
need to
It
do their
is. So,
homework.
like, you shouldn't be learning how to do your Botox on TikTok.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because
That's
eventually you're
so
gonna hit the wrong
scary.
spot and you're gonna drop your brow and it's gonna look silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna look
Seriously.
silly.
And like one's
Yeah,
up and one's down,
it's
one's
gonna
fine.
look silly.
Um, well, if someone wants to feel better in their body without obsessing, what are your top 3 start year basics?
Look for small wins, right? Set a small goal, whether it's just like get 5 pounds off and reward yourself when it happens. Like, so I would say, like, okay, when I hit this, I'm going to do that. Or when I get these 10 pounds off, I'm going to go get a massage. Eat protein and fiber. I think people forget a lot about the importance of fiber. People say there's 3 macros, which are carbs, fat, and protein. I think fiber is one of the biggest ones too, especially as you're dieting and changing the way that you eat. Making sure that your digestive system stays on point. Good pre and probiotics were also really important in my journey,
Mhm.
for sure. And sleep, for the love of God, sleep.
So you
Um,
sleep
Yeah.
well.
I have a sleep routine, and like my friends call me a hibernating bear. I can really sleep in like a teenager if you let me. Like I'll sometimes won't open my eyes till 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and
That's
it
amazing.
kind of does happen. Childless life. Yay for me. Yeah, no, but that can happen. So just making small goals along the way because you're going to surpass them. Then that builds confidence. Um, Really good sleep hygiene. I go to bed at 10 and I wake up most mornings at 7, and had to force myself into that habit. Your body repairs itself at night. It also, really does prepare you to stop eating very late.
Yeah.
If you start to go to bed and brushing your teeth after dinner, I feel like that would sometimes also stop me from eating late at night. I know you said 3, but frozen blueberries were all, and also one of the things that I arm myself with. I pretty much eat only organic foods at home, and so I always have like fresh fruit, and I freeze it, and like at nighttime if I really need something, at least I'm not derailing my entire day. And you
Right.
can't like stuff 25, handfuls of fruit
Frozen.
if it's frozen in your mouth. So like, it fulfills the sweet tooth. It doesn't completely screw up your entire day. And that was a habit I got into then and I still do it now.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So you touched a little bit about how you went through this whole process without social media. And now here we are in the presence of social media being, quite frankly, dangerous for so many young people, so many
Yeah.
people that are in this headspace or physically not wanting to be, the way that they're looking or the way that they're feeling. And can you speak to that? Because I'm sure a lot of your clients also are, going through all of this mental whiplash of what they're seeing online versus what reality is.
Pick a couple influencers that have some credibility that you want to follow, but always ask a medical professional before you make some significant changes. I think are really important. There's so much, again, like so much misinformation out there, and like there are so many probably very good influencers, and I using air quotes because it's true, but that are probably very right in a lot that they're saying, even though they contradict each other. So like how are you supposed to just follow a couple
Mhm.
people, make it slow, find somebody that you trust. You don't need to follow 600 people that have the same message. Like keep your following a little bit smaller, then maybe you won't be so overstimulated by
Mhm.
so much. I
Mhm.
actually just went through and deleted so many people that I followed on my own personal page because I'm like, I'm just looking up the same thing over and over and over and over and over and
Right.
over and over. There are a few people in this industry that I respect, and I made it really simple. Like the same thing with like all the functional medicine doctors that I'm following. It was just so many, and that's all my feed was all day long because I'm a functional NP student, so or a PhD student, and so I'm really working very very hard on building that encyclopedia in my mind, so to
Mhm.
speak, but, like, how much can you get before you're just it's just too much?
Right. Right.
Yeah, but I consider myself really lucky. I'm not crazy into the social media world. I never loved it. It has its place, and I'm proud to be on it. I
Mhm.
love connecting with people and expanding my network, and there's no question I see it's where it's useful, but I can also see where it's really harmful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I can also
absolutely.
see where it's really harmful. And like looking at other people that are doing something that you want, just like get up and go do it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like stop
Right.
looking at someone else doing what
Right.
you
Because you're
want.
sitting on the couch like,
Because
oh,
you're
look at
just
that
sitting there
workout.
watching
Look
them
at this
do
great
something
workout.
you want to do.
Right.
Right.
It's
Um,
silly.
yeah. And it's also been a little frustrating watching people who are putting down GLPs,
Yeah.
um, where I feel like, okay, you didn't lose 60 pounds in 5 months not using them. And like
Mhm.
there's an influencer that kind of bothers me. And I won't call her out, but it's quite annoying. She says she lost all of her weight walking weighted and did not use GLPs. Um, I just don't believe that you can lose 60 pounds in 5 months
I think it's
That
without
is
some
unhealthy to
yeah.
have
crazy
that happen. Yeah.
restriction like
Right.
that. And her following is just massive, and
Mm.
it just drives me crazy. So much so that it kind of influenced me to maybe start putting my story out there a little bit more.
Yeah. Why
Um,
not? Because there's no shame about this. And
It
I think
was for
that's
me,
what's
it
happening.
makes me a little uncomfortable, it makes me feel a little vulnerable. There is still a part of me that's embarrassed for ever letting myself
Mhm.
get like that, um, that, putting before and after photos of myself online is a really vulnerable thing, and it takes a ton of humility to do it. Um,
But it's your truth and you
yeah,
speak to that and you've
yeah.
come out the other end. So
Does
you
doesn't make
can.
it doesn't make it easier because I
Mm,
still look at
of
her
course.
like,
Mm,
although I can't feel her anymore in so many ways, like she's gone, right? I'm not
mhm.
worried about her coming back. It's been a long time, but like
Yeah.
if it's going to help somebody else is the true incentive. And like really help someone else without causing damage.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
right. So speaking on like the all of these medications to help lose weight and this and
Mhm.
that, and you said there could be a lot of shame around it. Can you speak
Oh, I don't
to
think there
that?
should be. It's like
Yeah.
people in Hollywood whose foreheads don't move. Like you can't tell
Right.
me you don't have Botox, Paris Hilton. Like, that is the most
We're going up
ridiculous thing I've
there.
ever heard. Your
Oh,
face does not
shit.
move. So, like, I just don't feel like there should be a shame around it, and I think people who are like, "Oh my god, just stop eating and exercise more," like, kinda shame on you because
Mm,
maybe you've never struggled with that. I
right.
wish I had GLPs back in 2017. I wish I had something stronger to help me get through that because I did it by myself, white knuckling the entire time, figuring out what works and what didn't without it was really stressful and it was really not easy and it was really lonely and I did it by myself with no mentor, no help. Um, where I feel like there's a community of people now that are, on GLPs that are talking about it where
People.
maybe I would have had a community of
Yeah.
of support. And again, I'm probably could have turned to social media for that, but again, kind of happy that I didn't because I didn't need the distraction.
Sure.
It was
Yeah.
just me, myself, and breaking my relationship with food. I didn't actually exercise, and sorry for anybody who's going to kill me for saying this. The entire my first 90 pounds. Um, it was just me breaking up with the binge disorder. It was me just changing the way I felt about food, figuring something out. I think sometimes when people try to do too much at one time, they crash and burn and then
Micro
they fail,
movements.
right? Like I worked out so hard all week and the scale didn't budge and it makes you not want to do it anymore, right? So
Mhm.
I had done that so many times where I was like, oh my God, I spent 3 hours in the gym and like the scale didn't budge. Like that was like the worst feeling. So it made me
Yeah.
feel defeated. So I was just like a one thing at a time and I'm still kind of that way. if I didn't work out with a trainer, I probably wouldn't get to the gym. And so I made a declaration actually in the last few weeks on social media because I don't post myself in the gym. I'm not a crazy gym person. And so my husband's even a trainer, and people are like, why don't you work out with him? And I'm like, are you kidding? He's going to tell me to do something. I'm telling him to go F himself. I'm like,
Right.
no way.
Exactly.
So
Not a good move.
there's a gym a couple right across the street from my business, and that we're gonna do some training because that's probably the next step is really building muscle, and that's
Mhm.
also really important for hormonal balance as well. I'm
Mhm.
a woman in
Yeah.
my 40s, 100% perimenopausal, so I find wanting the strength to as I get older. I don't want to need help because I
Right.
think building muscle is the next big thing for this girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And bone density and
Yeah,
um
yeah.
so many things
But
that go
here's the
with
thing
it.
I look
Yeah.
at, it's like, okay, I gave up Diet Coke, which is one of the hardest things I've ever done. Like I used to drink 10 a day when I maybe have had 8 or
Um,
10 since last August. So that has been
That's pretty great.
a
Yeah.
huge win for me.
Is that harder than
Um,
smoking? Quitting smoking?
yeah, because like I was drinking them all day long. And like I was never a vapor. And so I think that I also got really lucky there because like I was never smoking indoors.
Mhm.
So I always went outside to have a cigarette, where I think people now who vape to like either get off their
Oh, yeah.
cigarettes or for some reason now they're smoking indoors while they're watching TV at night,
Mhm.
like I never did that. So like
Yeah.
I was able to quit before the whole vaping thing really became mainstream. So in that degree, I'm really lucky. But like everything I've ever set out, like these huge attainable goals I've done. And so muscle's next.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Great.
good. Yeah,
Muscle's
that's
next.
awesome. And before we
Like
get
I'm
into our last
active. I have a Peloton at home. Like it's like I'm not doing something, but I'm not like really in the gym with someone really pushing me to like,
Yeah.
sure.
make my peach peachier.
Whoa. I like that.
That's cute.
Thank you.
Before we get into our last question, do you want to put in a plug for people and where they can find you?
Oh, sure. So on Instagram, I'm at shopbar Medspa or at shopbar Lindsey with an E. My website is shopbar.net, and I'm also happy to give out my phone number. Anyone can text me at 872-273-6273. And you don't have to just need medication to work with me. I do one-on-one counseling all the time, even if you're just looking for a cheerleader to be in your corner. And I try to be the person um, that I wish I had during my journey.
Mm,
Mhm.
And it's kind of wild. I've got, quite a few hundred people who work with me on GLPs. And I always tell them, like, part of working with me is like, you get my full attention anytime you need it. And the people who don't take me up on it is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And those who do, they're really succeeding. It's autonomous, but, it's going to take more than just a weekly shot to have you keep
yeah.
this off. So, like, if I can
Absolutely.
help you lose the weight, losing weight is actually not so difficult. It's keeping it off. That's the most difficult
Right.
part
Right.
because life,
Exactly.
life, life continues.
It does.
Exactly.
It does.
Yeah,
It
life
does.
continues.
So, our favorite question: how do you live your juiciest life?
Oh, I like that question a lot. I'm a happily married woman, that's for sure. I met my husband post weight loss, and he always says he would have loved me anyway, but I don't really necessarily know if that's completely true. I have a pretty healthy marriage. Robin, you've met him. He's
Yeah,
the
I believe it.
world's nicest man.
Yeah.
I really got lucky in that area. The world's most proud auntie. I have a 9-year-old niece and a 7-year-old nephew. They're back in Detroit, and I have a very close relationship with them. I don't go maybe more than like 6 to 8 weeks without seeing them, and we FaceTime all the time and play Roblox, and I show
Nice.
up and surprise them at all of their tournaments and events and
Oh,
things. And for
fun.
being an aunt who lives in Chicago, I think I do a pretty good job
Yeah.
of showing up and being there for them.
That's sweet.
How else do I live my juiciest life? I have had the same friendships my entire life, and I'm really lucky for that. My oldest friend goes as far back as preschool. She's now an executive at Apple, and I I'm living the life now that I kind of wish I did in my earlier years. Luckily, I'm really young at heart, and so is my husband. So we go to music festivals and we travel all
Sure.
over the place.
Yeah.
And, you know, let's hit Vegas one night to go see something at the Sphere. And we travel and I
Nice.
really truly feel that we have a thriving social life, the two of us. And he helps me build my business. And I'm
That's
a pretty
juicy.
happy, I'm a pretty happy woman.
Good.
Um,
You
I'm
are.
a pretty
You're
happy
very
woman. Yeah.
positive.
Um, yeah. And I think also just the best thing is like no one's ever going to be perfect. So stop trying to attain perfection. And I chase contentment, not happiness,
Mm,
Excellent.
because I think
Excellent.
happiness is fleeting. Contentment is way better.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for being
Thank you so
on.
much. This was so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, your
Good.
story is inspiring, and just can't wait to put it out there and
Oh,
have
thanks.
people
No,
like really
this
get
was
help.
really
Yeah,
this was really cool. I was really looking forward to this.
good.
Um, yeah,
Thank you.
it's not very often I get to like sit down and like really tell my story
Yeah,
in detail like that with intensity.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
should be told, and thank you so
Thanks.
much for being brave
Yeah,
and putting it out there
sure.
and your transparency.
Thank you so much.
And
Yeah.
if you're listening, please feel free to reach out to Lindsey. She is wonderful and clearly knows exactly what she's talking about. And we hope you continue to follow us and join us on our next episode. And we'll see you all later. Have
Thanks.
Bye.
a
This
juicy
was
day.
so
Have a juicy
fun.
day. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Be sure to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a good squeeze.
Of course, everybody needs one.
See you next time on Squeeze Lines.